Everyone thinks TikTok decides food trends. I don't. TikTok is powerful, don't get me wrong. A lot of times, TikTok just finds a thing that was already bubbling underneath. And right now, the World Cup, food stories are bubbling everywhere. Norway made headlines for bringing their own salmon, halibut, and cheese to the tournament, but I'm not mad at it. If your country has elite salmon and you got Erling Haaland running around like somebody built him in a lab, then maybe you do bring the fish. You got fans from around the world discovering Waffle House, Texas BBQ, street-style tacos, ranch dressing, gas station snacks, and all kind of American food chaos. And as I'm filming this, we're entering the quarterfinal because every time a country makes some noise on the field, people start getting curious about the culture behind that team. That's how Verde happened. Verde didn't just magically appear out of nowhere because somebody dipped a taco into some consomme on camera. No, Verde had history, it had culture, it had restaurants, it had diaspora, it had flavor. It had that visual moment where you see that cheese pull, the red oil, the crispy tortilla, the dip. The World Cup might be one of the biggest food trend machines on the planet. So today, I want to know, can we predict the next viral food trend before it happens? And at the end of this video, I'm putting my prediction on the record, all right? Let's get into it. The World Cup is not just a sporting event. It is an attention machine. For a month, billions of people are watching the same tournament, talking about the same matches, arguing about the same calls, learning the names that didn't know before, and suddenly becoming curious about places they may not have thought about before. And attention matters because attention creates curiosity. Curiosity creates searches. Searches create demand. Demand creates trends. That is how a cultural moment starts turning into an economic signal. You see a country do something incredible on the field, and then you start wondering about that place. Like, where is that country? What language do they speak? What music do they listen to? What are the people like? And eventually, what do they eat? If attention was all it took, we would all be eating those giant stadium nachos with that mystery cheese that glows in the dark. But that's not a trend. That's a cry for help with jalapenos on top. So we need a better way to evaluate this. I got it. That's where the Food Trend Index comes in. The Food Trend Index is my simple way of asking, does this food have the ingredients to move from culture moment to mainstream trend? Because we can't just ask, is this food good? Because a lot of food is good. Your auntie's potato salad might be good, unless she puts raisins in it. But being good is not enough. A food trend needs more than flavor. It needs a reason for people outside of the culture to notice it, search it, share it, and eventually make it part of their own routine. So I'm scoring each contender here on 6 things. Number 1, cultural exposure. Are people suddenly paying attention to the country, culture, or dish? Number 2, search interest. Are people actually looking it up, or is it just a cute moment on social media? Number 3, restaurant availability. Can people find it in real life? Number 4, grocery accessibility. Can people make some version of it at home without needing to go on a scavenger hunt across 3 zip codes? Number 5, visual and social appeal. Does it look good on camera? Because let's be honest, some food tastes amazing, but photographed like a DMV waiting room, dry and uninviting. And number 6, storytelling potential. Is there a story people can share? Because food does not travel on flavor alone. Food travels on story. Think about Verde again. Verde had a story. It was comforting, it was rich, it was rooted in Mexican tradition, and it had a built-in eating ritual. Dip the taco. That matters. When people can watch a food and immediately understand what they're supposed to do with it, that helps it travel. Dip this, pull that, crack this open, pour this over, mix this together. That's not just eating, that's participation. So if we're going to use the World Cup to predict a food trend, we can't just ask, which country has good food? That list is too long. The real question is, can it make someone say, what is that? That's the Food Trend Index. Now, before I name the contenders, viral does not equal trend. A viral moment is when everybody talks about something for a few days. A trend is when behavior changes. That difference matters. If foreign fans go viral for trying ranch, that does not mean ranch is the next global culinary movement. For it to become a trend, we need sustained search growth. I'm not just throwing countries into a hat and saying, congratulations, you're the next taco. No, we're testing this. Okay, the contenders. Let me explain why I picked these 3. I'm looking for World Cup heat. And right now, as we enter the quarterfinals, the heat is very specific. Morocco is still alive and still making noise. Egypt is out, but the Argentina game has people heated. Cape Verde is out, but they became one of the most emotional underdog stories of the tournament. Argentina advances, but Cape Verde won. The contender, the controversy, and the underdog. Morocco is the obvious contender. They had that historic semifinal run in the last World Cup, and now they're back in the quarterfinal conversation again. Egypt is the controversy contender. That Argentina game had people heated. The officiating became part of the story, and whether you agree with the calls or not, that kind of game creates attention. It creates searches, and sometimes controversy does something very useful for culture. It keeps people talking. And then there's Cabo Verde or Cape Verde. They are the underdog, the country a lot of people were suddenly Googling, the team that made people say, where is Cape Verde? And that kind of curiosity is exactly what the Food Trend Index is built to measure. This is about which World Cup story has enough momentum to turn into food curiosity. I should address why not Norway. Norway made headlines for bringing their own salmon and cheese, which is hilarious, elite, and a special kind of petty. But that's not the same as a food trend. That's a food story. Norway makes people talk about athlete nutrition and food quality. Cape Verde makes people ask, where is that country and what do they eat? First up, Morocco. And I'll be honest, I talk about Morocco a lot because Moroccan food gives you almost everything you want from a food culture standpoint. The flavors are warm, aromatic, colorful, and layered. The two foods I'd watch here are msemen and amlo. Msemen is a flaky Moroccan flatbread. It can be served with honey, butter, jam, cheese, eggs, or savory fillings. Then you have amlo, which is usually made with almonds, argan oil, and honey. It is rich, nutty, sweet, and spreadable. So what's working for Morocco? The visual appeal is high, the flavor profile is strong, there's already restaurant presence in a lot of major cities, the spices are accessible, the World Cup story is already established. Now what's working against it? It may actually be too broad. It's a whole world. And sometimes when a cuisine has too many entry points, the internet doesn't know what to grab onto first. Some ingredients like culinary argan oil are not as common in American grocery stores and are hella expensive. And Moroccan food can feel intimidating to people who don't already cook with these spices. But the question is whether one specific dish can become simple enough for mainstream adoption. Food Trend Index score, 8.1 out of 10. Strong contender, very social friendly, very beautiful, very easy to romanticize on camera, but maybe not the final winner. We'll see. Next up, Egypt. Egypt is not just in this conversation because of the food. Egypt is in this conversation because that Argentina game had the streets talking. And listen, I'm not here to become a referee analyst, and I have experienced a new level of fandom thanks to football fanatics, but when a World Cup game gets that emotional, when people are arguing about VAR, missed calls, disallowed goals, penalties, and whether a team got done dirty, that creates buzz. And buzz creates searches. Searches create that curiosity. Curiosity can lead people straight to the food. The dish I'm looking at is kashari. Kashari is one of those foods that makes you say, hold on, how have I not been eating this already? It's rice, lentils, pasta, chickpeas, tomato sauce, crispy onions, garlic vinegar, hot sauce. It's carb on carb with legumes and crunch. That is not a dish, that is a declaration, okay? That is somebody's grandmother saying, you're not leaving this house hungry. And what I love about kashari is that it's affordable, filling, plant forward, and made mostly from ingredients people already recognize. So on grocery accessibility, kashari is excellent. You can make it with pantry staples. It's budget friendly, it fits into conversations about plant-based eating without feeling like diet food. There's a great visual moment when everything comes together in the bowl. Now, what's working for Egypt? The current conversation. A game people are still arguing about and will for some time. A food with accessible ingredients, a dish that can be framed as the ultimate Egyptian street food comfort bowl. Now, what's working against it? Kashari is not the easiest food to explain in one sentence. When a dish has rice and pasta and lentils, some people are going to be confused at first. And confusion is not always bad, but mainstream trends usually need a quick hook. Birria tacos, crispy tacos you dip in broth. Dubai chocolate, Chocolate bar with pistachio and crunchy filling. Kashari needs a cleaner sentence. Maybe Egyptian street food comfort bowl, but it still might need the right creator or restaurant moment to translate it. So, the food trend index score, 7.4 out of 10. I love kashari as a sleeper. It's affordable, pantry friendly, it has comfort, it has plant-based potential, but it may need a little more education before it breaks through. And that brings us to Cabo Verde. And the dish I'm watching is cachupa. During Cape Verde's World Cup run, their team chef was reportedly cooking cachupa for the players regularly as a taste of home. Not right before matches because, let's be honest, a hearty corn, bean, and sausage stew before sprinting for 90 minutes sounds like hazing. But as part of keeping the team connected to home, because that tells me this dish is not just symbolic from the outside, it is part of the actual World Cup story. Small island nation, historic stage, a team that held Spain, pushed Argentina, and made people pay attention. People suddenly asking, where is Cape Verde? And when a country becomes a story, the culture comes with it. Cachupa is Cape Verde's national dish. It's a slow-cooked stew usually made with hominy or corn, bean, vegetables, and often meat or sausage. There are different versions because, like any great cultural dish, everybody's family has their own way. And I think that matters right now because not every food trend has to be luxury. Sometimes the next food trend is something deeply comforting, deeply cultural, and deeply practical. Cachupa has that. From a grocery standpoint, it's surprisingly approachable. Corn, beans, veggies, sausage or meat, spices, those are not impossible ingredients. And if you live near a Cape Verdean community, the supply chain already exists, like Boston or Brockton. That diaspora infrastructure means there are restaurants, grocery stores, families, cultural knowledge, and real people already carrying the food forward. That's how a trend becomes more than a recipe. Because people do not just want to fall in love with food, they fall in love with what food represents. And cachupa represents home. Cachupa has something special. It has the food, it has the moment, has the underdog story, it has the diaspora, it has accessibility, it has cultural depth. Food trend index score, 8.6 out of 10. And now it's time for the prediction. Based on the food trend index, here's where I landed. Number 3, Egyptian kashari. This is my sleeper pick. Affordable, comforting, pantry friendly, and plant forward. I could absolutely see kashari getting traction if the right creator frames it as the ultimate Egyptian street food comfort bowl. Number 2, Morocco. Specifically msemen and amlo. This is the most social media friendly pick. It's beautiful, it's flexible, if it's breakfast, brunch, dessert, and snack culture. And the flavors are already close enough to things people understand. If someone creates the right Moroccan breakfast board or msemen sandwich trend, this could move fast. Morocco has the history, Morocco has the momentum, Morocco has the food, but after scoring every category, the data say something different. My number 1 prediction, Cape Verdean cachupa. Because I'm not betting only on the dish. I'm betting on the moment around the dish. The World Cup put Cape Verde on the map for millions of people, actually billions of people. The story is emotional, the food is accessible, the diaspora infrastructure already exists, the ingredients are practical, and the dish represents something people are craving right now. Comfort with meaning, not just viral food. Predictions are not guarantees. Culture is messy, food is emotional, and sometimes the internet wakes up and decides the next big thing is cottage cheese ice cream. We all have to live with that. If a World Cup food trend breaks through after this tournament, my bet is on Cape Verde, and specifically cachupa. Okay fam, now I want to hear from you. Which World Cup nation has the food that deserves to go viral next? Is it Morocco, Egypt, Cape Verde, or did I miss a country completely? Drop it in the comments. And 90 days from now, we're coming back. We're gonna check the search data. We're gonna check the restaurant mentions. We're gonna check social media. We're gonna see if the food trend index got it right. And if you know what to look for, you might be able to spot the next one before everybody else does. So I'm putting my prediction on the record. Cape Verde, cachupa, let's see what happens. All right, I'll see you in 90 days. And go world.